Making money today is actually so difficult, and it's continuing to get worse. If you looked at the world like 50 years ago, you could graduate high school, get a full time job down at the factory, and make enough to buy a house and raise a family. But now everything is so specialized that you have to go almost $100,000 in student loan debt to get the education just to get that same job that doesn't pay you as much when you take into account inflation and the cost of living. I think I read somewhere that it used to be in like the 80s or something that if two adults were working full time, then they would be able to own a home with just 2 years of their full time salary saved up. And these were like regular factory jobs, not jobs that you have to go into a ton of debt to get education for and get specialized skills for and things like that. And now you have to go and get an actual specialized job, and it's like 5 or 6 years of a full time income for two people. But anyways, I started thinking about this because I was watching some of those like finance videos a few days ago. Like I was big when I was younger into like the Gary V style type of videos of the hustle culture and just trying to work as hard as you can to make as much money as you can so that you can relax and chill later on. But I've learned that the problem with this idea is that a lot of times when you try to hustle, especially on the internet, there's so much competition in terms of trying to make money. And a lot of times it's not even competition between like regular people like you and me. It's competition with some of these large corporations that have tons of specialized people trying to make as much money as they can. Like a lot of YouTubers now are just kind of pushing corporate slop. If you look at some of their videos, they're very clearly edited by like highly skilled people, and they have people in their corner who are advising them on the type of content that they should make in order to maximize the number of people who watch it. Like they're clearly just in it for the money. When I was a kid and I went onto YouTube, you didn't see all of this fancy editing and all of these like highly skilled videos being pumped out by these corporate people. It was like regular people who would just turn on the camera and talk for a little bit. And then a lot of these greedy companies realized that they could make a ton of money if they started taking over the YouTube landscape. And so that's what happened. But anyways, I kind of got sidetracked there. My main point is that in order to make money in the modern society, you have to be really, really highly specialized in a specific skill. And it's difficult to do that. And this is all just really for the entry level people who don't have any assets or money already. Because once you get to a certain level and you have a certain amount of money, there are really better ways to make money than just trading your time. For instance, if you had like $1 million that you could invest and you just put it in like an average index fund for the S&P 500, you'd average about 8% per year. So in that first year, on average, you would expect to make about $80,000 just from doing nothing, just because you already have all of that money saved up that you can invest. So the title of this video is actually a little bit misleading. It should be it's really hard to make money if you don't already have money. So like that's the reason if I were just like starting out today and had nothing and were just getting my first job out of college or something, I think I would live with my parents for as long as I could to try to save as much as I could to pay off debt or to start investing or something like that. That's the thing with money in our society is that all of the hard work is front loaded at the very beginning. It's so much harder to make $100,000 if you're starting from zero than it is to make $100,000 if you already have like 1 million that you can invest. And by the way, we're like one of the only cultures here in the US where we like try to force our kids out at like 18 and make them live on their own. Like a lot of other cultures, you see kids living with their parents, saving money, taking care of their parents for a couple of years before they move out. And it seems like a lot of people in the older generations don't really understand this because, again, when they graduated high school, you could just go and get a job easily and start buying a house and raising a family. They don't understand that it's gotten a lot more difficult to do that in the modern era. But I think it's really a great thing if you have supportive parents and if they let you stay just to take like a year or two and be able to save that money because, again, all of that hard work is at the very beginning. If you can put in the hard work at the very beginning when you first start making money and you have nothing, it makes it so much easier down the line to continue to make more money and get even richer. With that being said, I don't want it to sound like I'm some kind of doomer or like I'm just complaining. A lot of people do complain about the economic environment, and it is difficult. But there are a lot of people in like third world countries and other countries who would love to have the economic and financial problems that we have here in the United States. I mean, when you look at history, we actually have it pretty good from a financial perspective. We live like the kings in the medieval era lived, and we actually live a lot better than they do. Just think about something like Netflix or like some of these streaming platforms. You get as much entertainment as you want for like 15 bucks a month or whatever. I mean, a lot of people in history couldn't even fathom having the access to things that we have. So I want to make it clear I'm not like complaining and like getting after, the current state, but it is difficult for a lot of people. And we also have to keep in mind that like standards and expectations for what the quality of life should look like have gone way up over time. Especially with social media, you see all these people who are living like multimillionaires at 19 or whatever, living in Miami, partying, owning yachts, and you start to kind of think that that's the norm. You can also see this with like just the houses that we own. I mean, the houses that we own, I think the average house or something is like 2,400 square feet. And it used to be like 1,200 square feet if you looked at it like 60 years ago. So our houses have doubled in size. Now they've more than doubled in price. So I'm not saying that they're affordable compared to what they were, but I am saying that we do have an expectation of living in greater luxury than a lot of people from the older generations had at our age. But what this video really is about, I think, is if you do want to live in that luxury and have that lifestyle, it is so difficult to make that much money and to be able to live that life. And the real problem isn't actually the effort that it takes to do that, it's the amount of time that it takes to amass that amount of money. I mean, I don't know how young people have this expectation that they're just going to be multimillionaires immediately. If you look at the math of it with like average salaries and average investing, you're lucky to become a millionaire by like your 50s or retirement age. Most people aren't millionaires, but it's just so difficult and takes so much time. And I'm trying to become a millionaire as fast as possible because I want to be able to enjoy my money. I don't want to be one of these people who's like, I'm 85 years old and I have $10 million, but you like can't do anything with it. I think Dave Ramsey was talking about this, and he does have some good advice, but he was talking about like how if somebody invested at 25 and kept the money in like index funds, then at 88 they would have like $5 million or something. And he got flamed in the comments because people correctly pointed out that when you're 85, it really doesn't matter how much money you have, except to give to your family. I mean, that would be a good thing. But for you, for your enjoyment, you spend 60 years amassing that amount of money, and then you can't do anything with it because you can't even move and you have all of these health issues that you have to take care of. For me, my dream would be to like become a multimillionaire by like my 30s, which I know sounds like unrealistic. But what I really want to be able to do is to get a place on the beach and just live there and make YouTube videos or make, something for my business or do my own thing basically. I just imagine like waking up at like 8 a.m. and going for a run because you got to get up somewhat early and run before it gets too hot if you're at the beach. But going for a run, coming back, having some coffee, and just working on YouTube videos, trying to build my own thing. And one of the reasons that I want to own my own thing and I want to get, wealthy enough that I can just sort of do my own thing and live where I want and do what I want is that at that point, I wouldn't have to trade my time for money because that's where you can really start to make a lot of money is when you have things that can scale. So that's sort of my goal is not to be like an hourly employee or a salaried employee, but to actually have something that can scale where the harder I work, the more money I make. And that's another thing that's sort of messed up about the system that we've created is that there's really no incentive to work hard once you have a job because you're going to make the same amount of money no matter how much you work. If I were a boss or I owned a company, I would rather pay someone based on the output than based on how many hours they put into something. I just feel like it would be better from my point of view, for me personally, it would be better if I can get paid based on what I'm producing than based on how much I'm working. Because I would like to not have a cap on how much I make. But it just really is so hard to become a multimillionaire. I mean, it just takes so much effort and so much time. And I've researched this a lot. I probably think about this too much, but it takes so much effort. And I have a lot of respect actually for the people who are able to do it, especially at a young age. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.